The moment of conception. A sperm fertilizes an egg. It's the start of a new life. But how did these lovers choose each other? And why do they turn each other on? Science is now uncovering the secrets of sexual attraction, revealing how love is like a rush of cocaine, how we can choose our future partner with our noses, and ultimately, how and why we pick our perfect mate. Boy meets girl. Girl meets boy. Each thinks the other is hot, and the rest just follows naturally. It's a mating ritual as old as humankind itself. But now science is moving into the bedroom to study in depth the details of sexual attraction. Scientists are putting the chemistry of lust, love, and long-term relationships under the microscope.
Least attractive, slight difference.
And around the world, researchers are exploring your love life in some surprising ways. Powerful evolutionary processes determine what attracts us to a mate and the way we attract others. Natural selection is the struggle for the best individuals to survive. Animals compete with each other for food and to escape predators. The survivors win the prize of passing on their genes to future generations. But there's also another process at work: sexual selection. In all advanced animals, as the saying goes, it takes two to tango. Only animals capable of attracting a mate will pass their genes down the generations. So sexual selection encourages the development of features and animal behavior that differentiate male from female and help attract the sexual partner. Scientists now know that humans are no exception to these rules. Anthropologist Helen Fisher studies how our bodies and brains have evolved so that boy meets girl. She believes that 3 separate sexual drives control the rules of the mating game. Lust, the sex drive, our craving for sexual gratification. Romantic love, our adoration for the one partner who seems to be all that we seek. And attachment, the way we develop a secure union with a long-term partner.
The sex drive evolved to get you out there looking for a range of partners. I think that romantic love evolved to enable you to focus that mating energy on just one at a time. And I think that attachment evolved to enable you to tolerate this individual at least long enough to raise a child through infancy.
But what is it that makes us lust for the opposite sex in the first place?
Yeah.
Fisher has been doing revolutionary research into our brains to discover what turns us on.
For me was you
On the campus of Stony Brook University, New York, Fisher advertises for students in love. She uses a functional magnetic resonance imaging, or fMRI machine, to scan the students' brains. It reveals the constantly changing pattern of blood flow in the brain. Active brain cells show up as they require more blood than their less active neighbors.
15 years ago, we couldn't have studied love this way. Now we can. We can look into the brain and see which parts become active and really begin to understand the brain networks that we all experience when we're madly in love.
First, the team records blood flow through the brain as their subjects gaze at a neutral image. Then they change the picture to a photo of the subject's lover and measure the blood flow once again. They find that men react differently to women. Men are turned on visually, while women are more interested in character.
among our male subjects, we found more activity in a brain region associated with the integration of visual stimuli. And in our female subjects, we found more activity in brain regions associated with memory recall.
Of course, we've known for generations that men seek visual stimulation when it comes to sex. Striptease is one of the oldest professions. For men, visual arousal stimuli are vitally important and activate the brain more than they do for women.
Women do like to look, but men like to look more. And I think this is for a very profoundly powerful Darwinian reason.
But what are those Darwinian evolutionary reasons? What exactly are men looking for? To shed some light on the visual stimuli that fire up a man's brain cells, we send a researcher out onto the streets of London to demonstrate a classic psychology experiment. The researcher's mission: to ask men which of these 4 drawings they find most attractive.
Which of these women do you think is most attractive?
The female figures are virtually identical, although the small differences between them are all important.
They're all the same.
No, they're not. There's a slight difference in all of them.
The relationship between the size of the waist and the size of the hips is marginally different in every picture. The sex researchers refer to this relationship as the waist-to-hip ratio.
D.
C. C.
I say A.
C.
Any reason why?
She's got curves.
Thank you very much.
In our survey, A wins 2 votes, B has none, C attracts 15, and D scores 5. Our result is the same as in the original experiment. A clear majority of men prefer a woman just like Miss C. A woman whose waist is precisely 7/10 the size of her hips. The figure that scientists suggest is the perfect waist-to-hip ratio. With such a ratio, a woman with a 26-inch waist will have 37-inch hips. This result may not seem like much, but it gives us an insight as to what men are looking for in a sexual partner. Women with this waist-to-hip ratio of around 0.7 are thought more likely to bear babies. They find it easier to get pregnant, conceive earlier in life, and have fewer miscarriages. These features, along with well-formed lips, high-defined cheeks, and sizable breasts, are controlled by the sex hormones and are called hormonal markers. Biologist Randy Thornhill from the University of New Mexico studies how our bodies display sexual attractiveness.
The human face and body is a collection of signals of symmetry and signals of hormone effects in the body. Male body testosterone, female body estrogen.
Features such as a woman's breasts and fat deposits in her upper cheeks and lips are substantially shaped by bodily levels of the sex hormone estrogen. Secreted primarily by the ovaries, estrogen influences not only the menstrual cycle, but also the development at puberty of a woman's secondary sexual characteristics, which include her face and body shape.
Estrogen is a marker of the quality of the female, and that includes a marker of her reproductive capacity. So her ability to bear children successfully is all highly estrogen related in women.
Scientists theorize that men are disproportionately attracted to women whose features indicate healthy hormonal levels, because that offers the promise of more easily producing healthy children.
For millions of years, a man needed to mate with a woman who had signs of health and youth and fertility, the kind of woman that could bear him healthy babies.
But it's not just women who display hormonal markers. As a boy reaches puberty, testosterone secreted by the testes promotes the growth of particular masculine features, such as prominent cheekbones, a strong jaw, and broad shoulders. These masculine features are markers for virility and health. They also appear to be dominant markers. Dominance is associated with male reproductive success in many species, including humans. But sexual attractiveness is transitory. Estrogen levels decline with age, which means that a youthful appearance attracts men who are biologically driven to seek out the most fertile women. But nowadays, all is not what it seems. It is possible to fool the system by creating hormonal indicator features that nature may not have supplied or that age may have taken away. In 2004, the United States public spent almost $13 billion on cosmetic procedures. 90% of them were carried out on women. Dr. Mark Money is a cosmetic surgeon in what is probably the world's most silicone-enhanced neighborhood, Beverly Hills.
The majority of patients that come to me are fundamentally looking to be more successful in the sexual selection process. Commonly in women, they're going to be looking for procedures that make them look younger. And that, again, is because youth is something that is attractive in the process of sexual selection. And so a younger looking female is going to naturally be more attractive to any male.
In 2004, plastic surgeons carried out nearly 340,000 breast implants and around 250,000 face and forehead lifts in the U.S. alone. But it's not just women who want to cheat nature in the mating game. In that same year, 1.2 million men had plastic surgery, including 719 pectoral implants.
Things that men look for in plastic surgery are going to be things that make them maybe look more masculine a lot of the time. For example, a chin implant to make the man have a stronger jaw.
This explosion of personal re-engineering could have a serious effect on human attractiveness in the future.
It actually may make the population more unattractive because people with unattractive features can have them changed and consequently be more successful reproductively. So their offspring will still have the genes that carried unattractive features on.
But hey, looks aren't everything, and women more than men seek out other assets. For women, the ideal mate is more than just a source of fertile sperm. She seeks the more intangible characteristics, such as reliability, loyalty, kindness, that suggest a good husband and a good father for her children. But it's not possible to judge these just from looks.
For millions of years, a woman couldn't really look at a man and size him up to know whether he would be a good provider and a good protector.
Fisher finds a major clue as to how women weigh up their prospective mates by analyzing the brain scans of her female students. The women in love have more blood racing through a part of the brain called the hippocampus, an area associated with the processing of memory. But what has memory got to do with sexual attraction and a woman's love life? Fisher suggests that women are particularly interested in the men's character and that they build up a memory map of their behavior in order to determine if they will be a suitable mate and father to their children.
She needed to remember what he did last Valentine's Day, what he promised last Christmas, what he didn't do last summer. She needed to remember to see if he was going to be a good husband and a good father.
And for that, memory is vitally important.
And in fact, that's what women do all the time. We get on the telephone and talk to other women, constantly recounting what he did and didn't do. What we're doing is creating a memory trail of whether this is going to be a good individual to pass on our DNA with.
It makes good evolutionary sense for a woman to mate with a reliable man who will help her raise their children. But women look for other things in men that will help their offspring succeed, such as status. Status is important in the mating game, as wealthy, powerful, dominant men are seen as being able to provide a good life for possible offspring. And they advertise this status with fancy cars and elegant clothes. But status is only part of the story. For humankind to survive and prosper, we need healthy offspring, with healthy genes and a healthy immune system to protect them from disease. But how can you tell if the man or woman you think is attractive will bring a suitable and healthy immune system along to the party? Scientists suggest that getting your partner to play a little hot and sweaty sport might help, so you can properly analyze their DNA with your nose. Evolution has driven men and women to behave in different ways to maximize their chances of winning a mate. But behavior is only part of the story. Scientists are now conducting new experiments to decipher more and more of the coded signals our bodies send out to attract a sexual partner. Signals that contain hidden information about the type and quality of the immune system we may pass on to our children, and that we read in an instant. University of New Mexico biologist Randy Thornhill believes that we interpret these signals in milliseconds without even knowing we are doing it.
Our awareness is just, this person is more attractive than that person, when in fact we're doing very sophisticated calculations that are going on in our heads, and all this is done very unconsciously and very quickly.
He believes the human nose is one of the best tools we have for deciphering secret messages of sexual attraction from the opposite sex. To illustrate this, Thornhill gets some students to wear identical, freshly laundered white shirts during a game of basketball. As the players perspire, their shirts absorb the sweat, which contains pheromones, odorless airborne molecules exuded from the sweat glands of both men and women. Pheromones are believed to be involved in attracting the opposite sex. What Thornhill has discovered is that they have a far more complex role and convey far more complex information than previously believed. In his laboratory, Thornhill asks a group of female biology graduates to put their sense of smell to the test.
The women will smell these shirts worn by each man and rate them for sexiness, pleasantness, and intensity.
The women have no idea which shirt belongs to which athlete. They take each shirt in turn, sniff and consider its scent, and write down which they like best. Based on nothing more than smell, the girls decide which shirts they find most pleasant and most sexy. Thornhill analyzes the immune systems of the male and female volunteers by studying the major histocompatibility complex, or MHC, a group of genes that play an important role in the body's defense system. He discovers that the women students prefer the smell of men with a dissimilar MHC, thus favoring guys whose immune systems differ from their own.
The general pattern is that both men and women like the body scent of individuals who are dissimilar, who are different from them.
This makes good evolutionary sense. The immune system helps fight off disease. How good it is depends on the genes. People who inherit a range of genes have an advantage.
Because diseases evolve very, very quickly, you need genetic variation in the offspring to get the right genetic combination to cope with the currently prevalent diseases.
For the perfect match, lovers should have immune system capabilities that differ from each other. Then their babies get the best of the mix, a diversity giving them a better chance of a healthy life. Human beings, just like the girls in Thornhill's study, are able to pick a suitable genetic mate just with their noses. Thornhill's experiments back up earlier European studies that pheromones subconsciously reveal the body's defense secrets to others, although nobody yet understands how this works. But our noses can detect more than just different genes. They can also detect symmetry. It may seem bizarre, but women prefer the smell of men who are more symmetrical.
More symmetric men smell better to women, specifically to women who are at the fertile phase of the menstrual cycle.
The fact that symmetry attracts the opposite sex is nothing new. It was first noted by researchers in the 1990s, and has proved a popular topic for the media ever since. The original symmetry studies measured a series of faces to determine how symmetrical they were, then asked people to rate the faces in order of attractiveness. Thornhill demonstrates this test with a biology class of 2005.
Rate the attractiveness of some male faces, with 10 being most attractive and 1 being least attractive.
Well, I would rate this first individual as about a 3 or a 4. I think the second picture is a lot more attractive than the first. I'd rate him more as a 4 or 5.
I'd say the girl on the left's about a 3, and the girl on the right's a little more attractive. I'd give her about a 6 to 6.5.
I guess the one on the left I'd put at about a 4, and the one on the right a 6.
Like the earlier studies, the faces people thought most attractive were consistently those that were most symmetrical. What's strange is that if a face is completely symmetrical, like these artificially created by mirroring each side of the face, the result is unnatural. Perfect symmetry is unattractive. Scientists do have a theory about why we find symmetrical faces appealing.
Symmetry is a reliable signal of quality because symmetry is very, very difficult to get right. And hence, symmetry is a marker of the quality of the individual to develop perfect bilateral symmetry.
Recent research from 2004 discovered that our faces reveal hidden clues about our quality as a prospective partner. Just like the pheromones, faces also display information about our immune system. In the study, women selected pictures of men they found most attractive. When they analyzed the blood from the men, they found that the men chosen as the most attractive had a greater variety of genes and hence a stronger immune system. No one quite knows how our faces convey this information. It's possible that people with a good immune system are less prone to diseases and parasites, the sort of things that might lead to asymmetrical features when we are developing. Whatever the answer, our symmetrical looks, it seems, are the store window in which we advertise the strength of our genes.
The evolutionary process over the last several million years has put into our brains psychological mechanisms that function to assess health of others. And we interpret that as attractiveness of others. And that attractiveness corresponds with these health markers, the symmetry, clear skin.
Symmetry appears so important that the female body even performs its own tricks to appear more symmetrical. In a simple experiment at the University of Liverpool, England, biologists measure the hands and ears of women before, during, and after ovulation. They discover that 24 hours before ovulation, the women's hands and ears alter shape to become more symmetrical. Scientists are not sure how this happens, but they think it's due to changes in water retention in the cells of the hands and ears. Because these changes are not the same on both sides of the body, they have the effect of altering the woman's symmetry. This could be perceived by males as a sudden increase in attractiveness. But once we have found our future mate, there remains a further mystery that perplexes countless men and women every day. How do we persuade